Hey everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Bulletproof Selling. My name is Sean Rhodes, the Chief Sales Sergeant here at Bulletproof Selling and author of the book Bulletproof Selling, a guide for systemizing sales on the battlefield of business. Now here at Bulletproof Selling, we open up every show just like I open up every talk that I give, every engagement where I'm on the ground, in the field, helping a sales team. One sentence begins it all, and that is that hope is not a sales strategy. So wherever you are in the field of sales, maybe you're leading, maybe you're down there in the field selling every day, maybe you're brand new to sales, maybe you've been in this industry for decades. The one thing that I can tell you that might help you succeed, where you could just turn off this podcast or this live stream right now, is that hope is not a sales strategy. So why would you want to listen to us though? Knowing that, I kind of gave away the secret to the whole deal just now. Hope is not a sales strategy. Why would you want to keep listening? Well, it's because that this series that we have, we've been bringing on guests since day one. We've been able to interview best-selling authors, Hall of Fame speakers, people that are leading multinational sales teams, and people that have decades of experience in selling themselves and what they do, so that you can remove hope from how it is that you sell. Because just knowing how to do something is important, but having the details, having the tactics, having the up-to-date information for what's working today, that's really what great salespeople do. And that's the whole concept of being a bulletproof salesperson. What does it mean to be a bulletproof salesperson? Well, it takes time from the field that you've got going on now, wherever you are, banging the phone, sending emails, all the cool stuff you get to do in sales or to sell yourself and your business, and to take the time to sit down like you're doing right now for this podcast and get just that much better at what you do, to actualize some of the internal greatness that you have within you. And so as I get to travel the world and running into people that have backgrounds in selling that are now out there helping salespeople, the folks that I really get attached to are those that aren't just showing up saying, I want to teach you about sales, but people that are showing up saying, I've got decades of experience in sales. I believe that every salesperson out there has the ability to succeed if they stop relying on hope, if they put some practices in place to begin to actualize that internal greatness inside of them. And so that's why it's my pleasure to welcome on someone who's got a lot of experience in doing exactly that, to help us actualize what's within us as a salesperson so that we can be more present, we can make a greater impact, and of course, a greater income across the fields that we lead. So it's my pleasure to welcome to the show today, Mr. Larry Long Jr. Larry, welcome to Bulletproof Selling.
Oh man, I appreciate you passing me the mic, Sean. I'm happy to be here. Great to see you, sir.
Now, Larry's out of the Carolinas, but Larry, tell us a little bit about your background in sales, man. I was looking through your LinkedIn history, and I think there's like multiple pages of you in sales. So talk to us about the journey that led you here, where now you're helping salespeople actualize their internal greatness.
Yeah, well, Sean, I don't know if you want to go back. By the age of 10 was when I had to start selling myself. I was an only child until my younger sister came at the age of 10, and I was the center of everyone's attention until she came. So I had to learn how to tap dance and really had to show my value. Hey, what about me? Don't forget about me. But professionally, I used to run Lawns by Larry. I was knocking on doors at the age of 12, 13, asking people if I could mow their lawn. When the wintertime came, asking them if I could shovel snow, to add value to them and make money. Professionally, my first sales job came. I had a baseball academy, and we had to sell our services. But when that closed, I had to make 150 cold calls to CPAs. And I don't know if you know this, Sean, CPAs get paid for their time. So I'm calling, trying to take their time. They're like, who do I send the bill to? Plus, almost every accounting firm has a assistant whose job is to make sure calls don't make it through. I had to find a way to get around it. So I've been really fortunate and blessed for a career. I think I've had 10 different stops, 8 different companies in a sales role, either as a contributor or as a sales leader.
Nice. And so it's a lot of experience, both, boots on the ground and out there in the field and leading. So I'm curious now, what are you doing today? Because it didn't sound like you were still banging the phone 150 dials a day. What does Larry's life look like today?
Yeah, so I've really been fortunate. I now have the opportunity to rock the mic. I'm a motivational sales speaker. I'm an MC. I'm a performance coach, executive coaching, as well as sales training. And imagine this, I'm also an author. I never would have imagined that I would have written a book, but my book is really geared to help sales professionals, business professionals, anyone going through this 4-letter word we call life, to really find and believe in and step into their inner greatness. you mentioned it earlier. I believe that everyone has the opportunity, the potential, the ability to be great. But if you don't have a process, you don't have a plan, you don't have the belief in your heart, in your mind, in your mouth, and through your actions, we're really hope, as you said, is not a strategy. We're putting it towards hope. So I'm on a mission to really help people up level wherever you are today, up level to be the best that you can be.
And so, as a salesperson myself, I'm hearing what you're saying, and I get that if I don't make the time to learn, then I won't have a job where I have to take the time off to learn at all, because I'm going to be overtaken. Competition is going to get me. I'm not going to keep up with market changes. But what you're talking about, actualizing the greatness within me, I mean, I'm thinking, Larry, if I got 150 calls to make today, I got 85 emails to send out, I got 3 buyer meetings. When am I going to have time to actualize the greatness within me? And why is that important for me as a salesperson when I might be moderately successful today? How is actualizing the greatness going to help me take it to the next level?
Yeah. So Sean, you might be good, but I don't work well with people who are fine with being good. I want people who are good that want to be great. I want people that are great. And in their mind, they're like, oh, I know that I can be even greater. So you asked a great question, time management. And when I think about my process, and we'll get into it, but I think that professional sales is time management, prospecting, discovery, demo, pipeline management, and closing. Those are 6. And then there's the post-close, but I think it's those 6 main topics. The question you asked, time management. So yes, you should always be filling the funnel, hitting the phone, hitting the emails, hitting social, wherever your prospects are, you need to be. And you should be having client meetings. You should be having prospect meetings. You should be interacting internally with your organization. And if you want to be great, you need to find that time to work on your personal skills and your professional skills. Now, from my observation, and this is just what I've seen, it's easy to make excuses. From account executives, I don't have time to fill the funnel. I can't prospect. Well, first of all, the word can't shouldn't be in your dictionary. I mean, you can do anything. I think the word impossible, and I'm not the best spelling bee person, but I think if you spell out impossible, it actually spelled I am possible. So it says it all right there in the word. There is nothing that's impossible. I think if you're an NBA fan, Kevin Garnett said it when the Boston Celtics won the championship. Anything is possible. And I really believe that, but it's easy to take the easy route and say, you know what? That's impossible. I can't do that. I can't up-level my skills while also taking care of business. Well, people are doing it. You got to look in the mirror.
If there was something that I feel like with all the combat teams I was able to study that allowed them to stay bulletproof, to get consistently better, it wasn't just that they were, mental level brilliant. And you study anybody in the special forces, you'll find people of all body sizes. Rarely are they grossly obese, but tall guys, skinny guys, short guys, stocky guys, and gals as well. It doesn't really matter. What makes them all consistently better is that they take the time to up level. And that happens after every mission, after the debriefs, to figure out, all right, what went right, what went wrong. If I had to do it again, what would we do differently? And how do I build that? Not just give it lip service, but build that into what actually happens in my training so that I can get better. So the next time I'm on the phone, I've got that one shot at success, that I do something differently, or I execute at a higher level, not hoping that it happens, but building the strategy to do it. So Larry, with all the salespeople you've been able to manage and all the sales calls you've been on, I'm curious to see, in this day and age, with what you know about salespeople, that excuses are out there, that some people say, hey, this is impossible. I can't meet that goal. You're giving me something that's way outside the realm of possibility here. Where do you see salespeople relying on hope in how they up level, how they set goals, how they envision the future, and then make a plan to get there? Where does hope enter that picture? Where do you see it most often?
Yeah, I would say top of funnel. And a great sales trainer, John Barrows, I love John. He said the cure to almost every sales ailment, wherever you might be hurting, pained, is a big fat pipeline. And I say check. A big fat pipeline solves so many problems. But so many people rely on hope. They want the magic pixie dust. They want the silver bullet. Well, guess what? That doesn't exist. it's a contact sport. You actually have to pick up this 500-pound phone and actually make calls and speak with someone. You might actually get hung up on. I had a gentleman in New Jersey. I'll never forget this. He said, "Hey, Larry, I got something for you." I thought I was about to get a sign. No. He said, "I want you to jump." He said, "I want you to put on a pair of concrete shoes and jump off a bridge." I looked in our overcoming objections manual. I couldn't find a rebuttal to that. So I said, the first thing that came to mind, I said, "God bless you too." And then I hung up. I said, "Oh, that's savage." And essentially I had to get up, stand up. I had to rejuvenate myself to make that next call because that was pretty savage right there. But to answer your question, filling the funnel is tough. It's the hard rowing. And essentially I've seen reps make every excuse in the book. Well, I'm closing deals. I'm doing demos. I don't have the right phone numbers. People aren't picking up the phone. No one's in the office. So what? Who cares? Who cares? You've got to put in the effort. You've got to be committed. And there's a big difference between when someone is really committed and someone is faking it. I used to own an indoor baseball and softball academy, and I hate to say it, but the majority of the kids were faking it. They weren't really about being the best that they could be. They were about making excuses. "Hey, do you have a batting tee at home?" "Yes." "When was the last time you hit off of that?" "Like a deer in headlights." "Never. It's collecting dust." Well, there's no mystery why you're batting 189 below the Mendoza line. You're not putting in the effort. For sales professionals, you didn't hit your quota last quarter. You didn't hit your goal last year. Let's look at your activity. Let's look at you controlling what you can control. You can control your effort. How many calls? What quality of calls? How many emails? What quality of emails? How much social media? For LinkedIn, here goes something that your folks can do right now. In LinkedIn, on the mobile LinkedIn, you can send a one-to-one message to someone that's a video message so they can feel your energy. They can feel your commitment. You can send, if you're not looking ready, if you got a face for radio like me, you can send an audio message so they can hear the passion. You can send a funny GIF. I know you're a Western Carolina Catamount. I'm going to find a funny GIF and send it to you because I know people are people. I can control this. But what I found is what separates the good from the great do the things that everyone can do, but a lot of people are scared. A lot of people come up with excuses on why they don't publish content on LinkedIn. Survey says, nah, that's something that we can all do. But if you're not going to do it, I know some people that are, and that's what's going to separate them.
I love it. So you've talked about something that I think any salesperson could benefit from, which is doing the hard things, even though they're hard. I know sales is definitely a numbers game. We've all got the same amount of time in a week, even if we don't sleep a wink, still the same amount of hours for all of us. The salespeople that are consistently performing higher, we study this over 30,000 sales calls, they're taking the time to do the hard work. And so I'm curious then, because you seem like the type of guy that has a couple of strategies for overcoming the inner critic to make the time and to do the things that others might consider hard. So for the salespeople that you've been able to manage, and when you were a salesperson on the front line yourself doing that, what were the things that you found were really helpful to keep in mind or to execute on to find the time and make the time and then do the hard work, like prospect research? Not the sexiest stuff, but like you said, to fill the top of the pipeline, it's kind of necessary unless you got just a baller marketing team that's dropping very qualified leads in your lap, which most of us don't have. So how did you find the time, make the time, get the mindset to do the hard work?
Yeah, I'll have to say it comes down to two, and I might even throw in a bonus. So you said make the time. We all have the same amount of time. We all have access to calendars. Are you scheduling? Are you intentionally scheduling the time? And not just scheduling the time, that's a start, but are you actually executing on that schedule of the time? I'm guilty as charged, Sean, where I schedule things and I'll find anything and everything to not do the hard things. Well, that's when it comes down to, and the best example I can give you is writing a book. You don't know me well, Sean, but if you talk to any of my elementary, middle, high school, and even college English teachers, and you told them Larry Long Jr. wrote a book, they would say, where's Ashton Kutcher? Am I getting punked? There's no way that Punk wrote a book. It was tough. And there were times where I was ready to tap out. But working with a coach, she pretty much guided me back to my why. So I ask the sales professionals, and I use air quotes because there's a lot of amateurs out there. But if you're working to be a professional, you're going to have guidance, mentors, colleagues that support you. Hercules. You're going to invest in coaching to support you to get back to your why. And when you figure out, hey, why am I doing this? What's my purpose? What's my mission, my vision, my core value, my principles? It makes it easier to do the hard stuff. Now, the hard stuff are still going to be hard, but what I found is that when you actually do it, you look back and you say, why was I so scared? Why was I putting this off? It's kind of like building that muscle. It just gets easier when you do it. It's kind of like riding a bike. I haven't ridden a bike in 10 years. I can hop on a bike and do it. I can pick up the phone call and have a conversation with most people. And yeah, I'll still get hung up on to the next. Oh, well, on to the next. It's that mentality of, hey, I'm going to strike out some. Yeah, I've had plenty. I wrote a chapter in my book that talks about strikeouts. They're a part of life. When you have the perspective that, hey, yes, I'm going to strike out and it's going to be okay. You mentioned it earlier. I'm going to live. I'm going to learn. It's not a failure as long as I don't give up. As long as I learn, as long as I share those learnings and learn from them, then I'm going to be all good. So I would say time management. What's your why? And then it's from the why, it's that commitment. For me, my why is my beautiful wife. It's my 2 kids who are at school. It's my father who I lost 7 years ago, his legacy. That's my why. And it's my duty to be the best that I can be. That's all I need. Now, I can't do it alone. I think they say teamwork makes the dream work. Jim Rohn says you are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. So if you do an audit and you look around, who's in your crew? Are they looking to up level, or are they looking for every reason to pull you down with them? Sometimes you gotta cut it. You gotta audit those people out. And sometimes it's family members, sometimes it's close friends, but you've got to look out for you and surround yourself with people that are doing it themselves as well as are supporting you along the way. So I threw out more than 3 right there, but it's sales professionals, top of funnel. Gotta fill that funnel in. It's I don't care if you're B2B, I don't care if you're B2C. We're all P2P, belly to belly, people to people. That's the world that we live in, Sean.
I dig it. So you can obviously tell if you're listening or you're watching, Larry's the kind of guy that you want on your team just to make sure that you are being called to be the greatest version of yourself. So Larry's going to be on everybody's sales team for the next few minutes because we're going to build a sales system on something that we've never tackled here at Bulletproof Selling. Over 100 sales systems from guests all over the world, but we've never dealt with one that's how do you do the difficult work even when you know it's difficult. So Larry, I love what you said earlier in the show that sales is a contact sport. Take that at multiple levels. It means that you've got to reach out and make contact with people to sell, but you also got to be ready to do the difficult stuff, to have that friction, to have, those barriers that you need to break through. So when we build sales systems here on Bulletproof Selling, Larry, we use a simple acronym because it's all about, taking what works in the military, bringing it here. Acronyms are a big part of what we do. So we use the acronym TRIM. It's a system building acronym. T is trigger, because I need to know, when am I being faced with something that is actually going to be an obstacle for me? And it might just be all up in my head. Most obstacles are, where I know that I'm going to have some internal resistance against this. I'll probably find time to procrastinate, but that's probably the trigger element for this system, for learning how do we do the time, make the time to do the hard stuff. So Larry, how do I know that I'm facing something that I'm going to procrastinate on? When does that come up in my life? How does it look so that I can recognize it and then use the system that we're about to build?
Yeah, well, everyone is different, Sean, and I can't generalize, but from working with sales professionals, I can tell you that call reluctance would be the number one thing. It's email, that's easy peasy lemon squeezy. Social media, that's a little bit tougher, especially when you start talking about going on video, going on audio for one-to-one messages, producing content, whether it's short form, long form, and or video. That's tough, but I can tell you that 500-pound phone, I've seen reps do anything and everything. I've had examples of reps that made the call, the person picked up, and they hung up. It's like, no. Yep. So the trigger is really gauging on a scale of 1 to 10? Does your heart flutter? Do you get excited about making cold calls? And these could be ice cold calls. How do you feel around that? Now, there's very few people that have said I love cold calls. Even myself, I'd be lying if I said I love cold calls. But when I look at the why, I love helping people. I love serving people. So I'm not sure if that trigger is, hey, what's your thermostat? What's your perspective, your vision when it comes to cold calling? Because that's really the opportunity area for improvement that I see with people.
I dig it. So it sounds like first it's identifying what are the things that need to be done in the course of this role as a salesperson. And if you don't have a sales leader like Larry to walk you through that, you could just sit down and identify, well, I've got to fill the funnel. I've got to qualify the funnel. I've got to reach out to the funnel. I've got to drive these people into meetings, into one-on-one appointments, whatever that sales model looks like for you in your sales cycle. But then like Larry said, to identify, all right, for each of those things, and it might be a dozen things, it might be 3 dozen things, where are you at on your thermostat with those? If you're ice cold on research, but you're a little warmer on prospecting, well, then maybe research is really where that's really going to be the difficult spot for you. That's where friction is going to show up. So Larry, if I've identified then where everything is on my thermostat, I've identified those couple of ice cold areas where I just have no desire, doesn't fire me up at all. The R in trim is making this process repeatable, because I want to use a simple system that I can pull off the shelf anytime I need it to work through the things that are going to be difficult for me, whether it's research, whether it's cold calling, whether it's being in a meeting with a high value prospect. And this deal could make my year, Larry, but I could also screw it up. I could lose everything that I've built up over the course of months here. Maybe that's the thing that's the biggest, a friction point for me. So what are 4 or 5 things that I can do in a specific order, mindset wise, to help me? And with this all goes back to your book, Jolt, Larry, to actualize the internal greatness in myself. What's the simple system I can use to get back on track, even though it's hard, to begin doing the right things?
Document.
Game
plan. I'm big into sports, and in sports, as in life, you better have a game plan. So thinking through and getting ahead, being that you're thinking through right now what could happen and documenting your plan. So essentially, when it comes to prospecting, it's identifying the who, the what, the when, the where, the why. Who are you reaching out to? Why are you reaching out to them? What are you going to say? What are the different avenues that you're going to reach out to them with? Who are you going to leverage? What people and what resources are you going to use in order to connect with those folks? So now once you have it documented, that's good. A lot of people have a business plan, but that business plan fails if you don't follow it. So essentially, if you have it step by step, but you don't do anything with it, Houston, we have a problem. So I encourage folks to start, and I would have all of my reps develop a business plan. The first question is, hey, Larry, do you have a template? How does that business plan? Yo, it's your business plan, Sean. I can't write your business plan. I can write my business plan, but my business plan is my business plan. Your business plan is yours. So I encourage you, and with all the talk with AI, Chat GPT, GT, I don't know what it is. I can't spell the letters. But essentially, what separates the great from the good is this. AI can't replicate this brilliant mind that we all have. So that critical thinking through, if I want to get here, what are the steps that I need to take on a daily basis, weekly basis, monthly basis, documenting it. And then that's the easy part. The tough part is actually stepping in to taking those actions. Wow, today I need to pick up the phone and make 50 quality calls. I need to have at least 5 quality conversations. Some are going to go this way. Some are going to go that way. And I'm going to learn along the way. For the ones that go this way, I'm still going to ask for a reference, for a referral. For those that go this way, 100% of the time, am I asking them, hey, who else should I be speaking with? Being intentional. So it's really, I know you said 4 or 5 steps. I'm going to say 2 steps. Document, take action.
I dig it. Now, what you've mentioned is actually brilliant on a couple of levels, even though it's a simple 2-step process. By taking a large thing, this amorphous project like prospecting or cold calling or researching, whatever that is for you, your ice cold area on your thermostat, and breaking that out into different steps, you don't have to execute the whole thing in one go. If it's that painful for you, execute a couple of steps, take your break, like put a timer on so you're not sitting by the coffee pot for the next 50 minutes and wasting your day, but execute a step, take a breath, pray, listen to a song, whatever you got to do to execute the next couple of steps. And I know plenty of people, Larry, and I'm sure you do as well, they'll break up entire call blocks like that, not trying to bang out 150 calls as quickly as possible, but maybe 25 or 50, and then doing something like just getting their center back, refocusing on their priorities, looking at the picture of their kids or that orphanage in Calcutta that they're building with all of their commissions, whatever that is for them, to get back centered. So I love this so far. We've got the trigger, repeatable. Now we're going to move into the I in trim, Larry, which is making this thing repeatable. Because if I'm trimming hope away from my sales strategy, which is why we use that acronym TRIM, I want to make sure this thing stays relevant into the future. Because I'm sure, Larry, that the process you use now, knowing what you know and having coached all the people that you've been able to help, didn't look like this 10 or 15 years ago. It's iterated, it's improved. So what are some things that I can do as a salesperson to make sure that I'm improving the way that I tackle the tough stuff, so that maybe I'm not tackling the same tough stuff 5 or 10 years from now? I've got a new version of tough stuff to tackle that's calling me to be a higher version of myself. But what do you recommend salespeople do to improve how they're attacking the things that are the toughest things for them to do?
Yeah, measure. What's your measurement of success?
You just skip to the M and trim, Larry. You just
Oh,
skipped
wow.
to it,
I'm
man.
sorry. I went ahead. Well,
we'll get to there, buddy.
let me rewind it. Another way to improve is to leverage the insights from your peers, your colleagues, from those that are also successful, from those that aren't successful. I can learn from those that are top of the notch as much as I can learn from those that are bottom. From those at the bottom, I can learn what not to do. Hey, walk me through your process. I don't really have a process.
I don't want to do that.
There's no mystery while you're down here. And even some of the top-notch folks don't have a process. They're just able to figure it out and just have success. So I want to really develop a process that's going to work for me. You said repeatable. You said improvement. When you communicate with others and when you teach others, hey, this is what I'm working on and here goes what I'm saying. What am I missing? What else can I add? When you start to have that dialogue, now it starts to become your whole being. Now that business plan that you have written down, it's right here. It's right here. You're living it. And when you're prepared, I don't know if Allen Iverson is listening in, but we are talking about practice. When you practice, you're now able to give yourself the ability to freestyle. Instead of you just trying to figure out, oh, what are the lines I'm going to say? You already know so well, front and back, what you're going to say. So now you can, and this word is used so much since the pandemic, you can pivot and adjust and adapt to whatever is thrown your way. So improvement, I want to sum this up. Improvement really comes from intentional conversation with others, intentional conversation with yourself, of asking those questions of, hey, what can I do to take it a step further? Now I'll give y'all an example. I talked about sending video. I talked about sending audio and GIFs. That's good. But hey, Larry, let's be honest, that's a 6 out of 10. Imagine if I really thought about my customer success team, my support team. What if I had them also provide a video to a prospect that said, hey, when you come on board, we're excited to take care of you. When you have a problem, we're going to be the ones that are helping you. And then a message from the C-suite, a message from a COO, a CEO that says, hey, we really want to earn your business. That's now leveling up. Now, instead of a 6, I'm a 7. Well, hey, how can I take it even further? Well, who do they know and trust that I might know? What if I get them to record a video message? Now that levels up even more. Well, hey, when was the last time you got snail mail, Sean, from someone who wanted to serve you? Never. Imagine you send them something snail mail that's relevant. You send them something that's meaningful, something that's thoughtful. Now you're going from an 8 to a 9. Now you're a 9 and you're like, I can't get any better. Well, I think it's almost impossible to be a 10. But what can you do to be a 9.2, a 9.5? It's putting that thought into it to improve all of the time. Because once you start resting on your laurels, you're getting blown by. You might as well be going backwards. You might be thinking that you're staying here. When you're stagnant, you're actually falling behind.
So now let's move into the M, which it sounds like you're a big measurement guy as well. But I've built this system. I've got my trigger, making it repeatable. Got some ways to improve it for tackling the tough stuff. How am I measuring it? Am I just measuring gross sales, Larry? Am I measuring pipeline velocity? What are some things you recommend that salespeople measure to figure out, is this worth my time to continue?
Yeah, so of course you want to measure the results and you want to measure the activities. You want to measure the inputs. What are you actually doing on a daily basis? What are the results that you're seeing as a result of that? And what are the adjustments? What are those improvements that you can make to change the dial, to move the dial on those measurements? But essentially, if I want to lose weight and get to be 199, which is my goal, but I never step on the scale, how do I know whether I'm having success or not? If I eat, and essentially it's an accumulation, I know it's an accumulation of what I eat on a daily basis. Hey, Larry, did you get your green leafy vegetables in? Did you get your fruits in? Hey, was your fried food consumption down? I know it's bow time. There's no time like bow time, but if I want to be 199, I got to say, nah, there's no time like showtime. No bow time. So it's really measuring those activities, those daily activities that you're doing on a consistent basis that really, I think they call them KPIs, the key performance indicators that impact that final result. And it's understanding how this has an impact on that.
I dig it. So we've got this complete sales system now that you can take for whatever that difficult area is in your sales career, prospecting, reaching out, driving meetings, closing, driving referrals, wherever it is, probably multiple places. Very few of us are just struggling in one area. We could all improve in a couple areas. Now, Larry and I have built a sales system that allows you to actualize that internal greatness, to Larry's earlier point, by making sure that you have a plan and a process for tackling the tough stuff so that you can get better at it, so you can drive more value into the marketplace and make a bigger impact on the world. So, Larry, it's no surprise that you named the book that you wrote JOLT, because just in our brief time together, I can tell this is how you live your life. You are a jolt of energy to any sales team. So talk to us. How do we get deeper into your world? I know you're active on LinkedIn. Do we need to go to your website? Where's our first stop as salespeople to learn more about you?
Yeah, LinkedIn, Larry Long Jr., the man with the gold mic. I got the smile for a mile. I got the face for radio. You won't mistake. I am the CEO, and that's Chief Energy Officer. I'm not your traditional CEO of LLJR Enterprises. I do have a website, LarryLongJr.com. That's LarryLongJR.com. I would love the opportunity to serve you if I can ever be of assistance.
Outstanding, sir. Well, thanks so much for being on our show, Larry. And for all of us listeners out there, for everybody catching the live stream or you're listening, make sure that you're following us on LinkedIn as well. Sean Rhodes, my profile, that's where I'm most active. And of course, for all of these archived conversations, if you want to see the video version, and Larry did some stuff on this particular version that might be worth you looking into on the video, even if you're just a regular listener on iTunes, Stitcher, Spotify, check out the YouTube stream on this one. I think you'll get some fun out of it. And of course, if you're listening, the best thing you can do for us on iTunes, Stitcher, Spotify, leave us a review. It's how more people can find out about how to be bulletproof in the way that they sell. And of course, for more sales systems to help you replace hope with certainty, make sure you're checking those out for complete free, just freedom, because I want to make sure every salesperson in the world removes more hope from what they do. So wherever you're struggling, you can probably find a sales system to help you get out of it over at bulletproofselling.us. Well, Sean Rhodes here. It's been a pleasure serving the sales community alongside you, Larry. Let's get out there and make selling bulletproof.
Thank you, Sean.